Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about the ISTE standards for empowered student learning. So what we're going to do is just quickly look at the actual standard for it, what it means, and kind of dissect what that actually means in your classroom. We're going to talk about why it's so important. And then lastly, I'm going to give you some examples as to how you can implement it in your classroom every day or specific projects, and also to encourage you to try on your own. All right, so in the ISTE standards, empowered learning is right here at the top. And basically, empowered learning is exactly what it sounds like. Students leverage technology to take an active role in choosing, achieving, and demonstrating competency in their learning goals, informed by the learning sciences. So what that means is that an empowered student, an empowered learner, is taking ownership of their education. So some key parts of the standards are setting personal goals, developing strategies through self-discovery that they're going to be able to learn in the classroom. They cater their learning experience for what works for them. So as a special ed teacher, this is especially important because my students all have different learning levels and different needs, different preferences. But in a regular classroom too, you've got students that are really great at writing papers. Some are really great at making presentations. Some are artistic. You want to be able to find something that's going to get the student to play on their strengths in their education. Receiving feedback from peers and educators is really important because we can communicate what they're doing positively and what they still need to improve on. This is really good. They've learned the material in a variety of ways, which can give differentiation for each student. So you can differentiate lessons based on their skill set, their ability, and also what they're interested in. And also, lastly, as they build on their technological skills, they can transfer them into new skills and platforms, making them lifelong learners, just like we educators are as well. So, in other words, they are becoming empowered in the learning process, which kind of fits the term empowered learning. See? All right, so some keywords that I kind of dug out from there were empowered, differentiated, student-centered, technology, self-discovery, feedback, personal goals, variety, and active. These are all words that have to do with students taking their ownership in their own education and learning, discovering through their means. It doesn't have to necessarily be always through technology either, which I'll get to in a second. So why it works. Research indicates that empowering students to have agency in their education and lives leads to many positive outcomes. So first of all, if we're giving students agency and some kind of responsibility, that's going to be teaching them responsibility in other aspects of their life, whether it's becoming an adult or in their sports or in their clubs or whatever it is. They're taking ownership and they're leading their education. Students do better in inequality of access situations, are able to personalize their learning and achieve regardless of ability and build dispositional skills such as executive functioning, perseverance, self-awareness, and tolerance for ambiguity that many believe are necessary to thrive in current and future society. So this is why it works. We know that when students are interested and they have access to different things, if they're able to personalize their educational experience, they're going to be more interested and more likely to do their best work. So some ways that you can implement without even using technology is in the following ways to make sure that your students are feeling empowered. Practice positive reinforcement. This one's really big, and this can be from you, but also from your peers. Allow for creative expression. I think it's really important to give your students any kind of opportunity to show their creativity. This one I think is really important. As a special ed teacher, I'm very well of wait time, but a lot of teachers are not. So wait time is giving your students that adequate time to actually think and develop their ideas before you're demanding an answer for them. This can be through like brainstorming as a class or on their own, but they need some time to actually develop their ideas before they're able to report on them. You can use social media for learning. There's different things that are going to lessons personally relevant. I love doing this for teaching history, and I'll be teaching government next year. So I'm definitely going to have a lot of more chances to provide that, making it more relevant to their lives. I do also teach geometry, which is a little bit harder because I think that's the one example everyone's like, when am I ever going to use geometry again? So I'm trying to come up with a response to that, but I'm going to. So you want to try and make it relevant to their lives and make them interested and know like why they're learning this. Brainstorming with your students kind of shows that you're also learning the process. I think you recognize their progress and give feedback. I think feedback is huge. It kind of gives them that motivation to keep going and also can help them if they're not doing it correctly. I always like to urge students to explain their views before explore different types of leadership. So it doesn't just have to be the person in the front presenting. There's other leadership roles that they could take. Maybe someone is really strong in the technology department and they're going to be the leader for the technology in the group. Giving them those titles and sense of responsibility makes them feel more important and more likely to do better. And then also have students share their triumphs and challenges. I think this is really important as well. All right, so for an example assignment, like I said, I'm teaching government, well, essentials government in the fall. I want to be able to use empowered learning as much as possible. And I think what's really nice is that I can use it for government all the time. So the first thing I like to do is when we're learning government, I always ask, why do we have a government? What's the importance of it? Why do we have laws? What would happen if there weren't laws? What do you currently disagree with, or what do you currently agree with? So I'd give them about 5 minutes or so to kind of brainstorm their answers on either a piece of paper or just jot them down in their Chromebook, kind of that idea, those time to develop their ideas. After they brainstorm, they're going to go into Schoology, which is where we have our discussion forum. And kind of like this class, they're going to answer the prompt fully, and then they're going to read their peers and comment on their peers' discussion. So this is going to start facilitating positive peer interaction and enforcement and feedback. After we discuss what they came up with as a class, I'm going to show them their presentation. So I have a link to it right here, but it's the Bill of Rights. We kind of go through, again, like why we have it, but then I break it down into a lesson. As I'm going through, I have guided notes for them. And also, this is the mnemonic device. So I love mnemonic devices. It's my favorite way of learning everything. So like, for example, for the Second Amendment, I always say, all right, hold 2 fingers up in your thumb. It looks like a gun, right? So you would write down 2 fingers looks like a gun, and it's the right to bear arms. Fourth, I have them hold 4 fingers up to the forehead. It looks like you're searching to let soldiers in your home, etc. So they're going to find out how they're going to remember it mostly and most efficiently, which is also giving them that individualized and personalized education for learning. And then, like I said, we're going to take guided notes. And then what I'm going to use for the rest of this, well, obviously I'm using Screencastify, but I've got a lot of information they can look up on iCivics. They're going to use Quizlet or Quizzes, Schoology for a platform, and Google for their presentation. So the assignment, what I would do is have them make their own quizzes or Quizlet, which they're going to share with the class. And then they're going to add amendments as we learn them. So they can put the terms in their own words. And then as like a warm up every day, I'd have them practice just for 5 or 10 minutes. After learning about the 26 amendments, they're going to be able to choose which amendment they would like to further their research. So this also gives them, again, a personalized approach. It's relevant to their lives, and they're going to be able to really look at something that interests them. Their assignment's going to be to create a Google presentation about their amendment, and then they're going to have to follow the rubric that asks questions like why or when it was created, how does it apply to my life, how does it apply to today. So again, it's making those questions really more relevant to themselves, personalized, and they're going to be able to create something that they're actually interested in. When they present, we're going to be able to post them up on our forum in Schoology, and they're all going to be able to comment on each other's and say what they liked about it, what was their strengths, and then what were some areas that maybe they could improve on for next time. And I'd give them like a rubric like eye contact or having too many words on the board, etc. So things that their peers can actually do to be engaged. Other examples. So that's just one way of implementing the empowered student, but there's some simple ways that you could make this like a daily thing or different activities. So these are my favorite other apps that I use. I'm going to kind of explain a couple of them. So the first one is Canva. I'm head of social committee at my high school, and so I had to find a way to get all of the staff to interact with each other without being in person because we were all remote. So what I thought I would do is that I had them all fill out a Google form, and then it had from like your favorite movies, your favorite TV shows, what you like, what you did over the summer, what's 3 things that people don't always know about you. And then I made it into this Canva flyer. And I called it the Mystery Teacher of the Week. So this is one for an example that I made. We did this all throughout the last 2 years, and they loved it so much. So I would send out this flyer, And I added some pictures and stuff. What do they like? What were their favorite concerts, proudest accomplishments, fun facts, etc. And then I'd send out a voting form to the staff and they would vote on who they thought the mystery teacher was. This is also great to do for your class because your kids could make their own flyer about themselves, and then the classroom can vote on who they think it is and why. So this gives you like a lot of information about someone that you might not really know really well, but then you can find out some really cool things about them. I found out some awesome things about my staff members. Some are really funny. And it was really a great way to like bond with everyone and get to know each other. So Canva is a really cool one. There's a lot of different bell ringers that you can use. One that my students and I like is something called What's in the Photo. When I taught like reading, it was a reading intervention class, and it's called Academic Strategies. But what I was trying to teach was inference strategies. So what they do, a New York Times website, they post a picture every week, and I have my students make as many observations as they can. Where are they? What do the people look like? What do they see in the background? And I don't know what it is this week because this is this week's. So we would notice that the race was majority Asian. We notice, so there's a New York Yankees logo right here. We see that there looks like bars on the window for some reason. You're going to make as many observations as you can, and then they have to make a prediction as to what's going on in the photo. And then the next week, every Monday, they reveal, and we talk about what the actual results were. So this is kind of a fun way to get your students involved, and they can do this on their own. They can write a little journal prompt, however you want to gauge it, but it's a good way of implementing technology. Answering daily journal prompts. This one was really good for me. I have a lot of students with like emotional issues, some really bad home lives, and this is a way that they've checked in with me, and I've kind of known what's going on, and I always leave like an option, like, do you want to talk about this? And a lot of them have approached me after class. It's just a nice way to know that there's an adult that cares about them, and also for them just to get some stuff off their chest. You can do it personal like that, or you can do something really vague, like what's your favorite or what's your dream vacation? And then you can make it public, and then their student peers can comment on it. It just gets them to interact with each other. Having a Google form sometimes is really good. I use this also for quizzes to try and gauge like their understanding on a lesson. So you can do a Google form or have them take a quiz and see their percentage and how they did. Giving projects with resources to find the information, but then having them present their understanding in their preferred way. So another site that I really like to use is it's called iCivics. I think I have it actually up here. Yeah, iCivics, this is what it looks like when you go on here. It's great for social studies, but you look for any lesson that you want to do. I go to the teach, the students would go to the actual student part, but they have lesson plans and they have it like by units. It's really, really a cool program. It's great if you've got students that are like at a lower reading level. And then they always have activities that go along with each plan. So it's really neat. Like if you're doing Who Rules, this is like the foundations of government, and then they have these readings and then they can fill it out, and this can be on the computer using Kami, or you can print it out and make them into actual packets. But this is great for students and they can find the information on themselves. Anything that they can do extra to show me that they understood. So that is everything for being an empowered learner. So I really would encourage you to be an empowered learner and give me some feedback on what you like or any questions that you might have or what you think that I could improve on. I know I talked fast, but I was just hoping that I made it in the allotted time correctly. So here are my references. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I hope that you learned something. All right, have a great Sunday. I'll see you. Bye-bye.